And how is everybody doing? I did a little video about the police academy. Now there are different types out there. Some are paramilitary, some are not. The one I went to was not paramilitary. It went through a college, so they were not allowed to do the paramilitary. And for those who don't know, like paramilitary would be like you had to stand at attention when an instructor comes in a classroom. You stand up, you're saluting, marching. They'll be yelling in your face, all that kind of stuff. The academy I went to wasn't like that. It was just calm and something like that. Now, I can't go into too much detail about the academy. There's some things they restrict, and with your post test, I cannot discuss that. Before I took it, I signed a form saying that I will not discuss it in detail, at least. So I'll touch on it a little bit, but I'm not going into detail about it. It'll just be very brief. Now, first, let you know that getting post certified, which means you'll be certified to become a police officer, it's not all just one certificate. You'll actually get several through the academy. I've got several up on my wall, and the main one is the post certificate. Then you get firearms, crash investigation, driving, arrest control, pepper spray, but you'll learn to call it OC. It has different names, but there's several others, but I didn't hang them up and find them that important. Like one was like how to deal with dogs, but I don't even know where that one's at. I don't really care about it. The sad thing for me is that people ask me if I'm still certified, and I have to reply like a yes and no. My post certificate alone is still valid until this coming May, which would be 2019, but all my other certificates have expired. So I can still go through and I can just go renew the certificates that expired, and it'll be a quick process, and then everything will be valid again. But because of my health, it's not going to happen. I'm always sick, and what's the point of becoming a police officer if you're going to be sick all the time? I like to think that if you're out there patrolling and then your fellow officer gets in like a shootout or needs help, and I become so sick I can't help, it's going to screw him over big time. And I don't want to deal with that. If you watch my other video about the colonoscopy, you'll see what I'm talking about with my health. I'm just having a hard time controlling it. I'm just nauseous all the time, stomach hurts, just one thing after another. I don't know what to do. When I went through the academy, it was actually pretty local. I didn't stay in a dorm or anything like that. I got to come home every night. The academy I went to was actually a part-time academy, not full-time. So my academy, the academy I went to, lasted longer. It lasted from like mid-August to like mid-May, around there. Full-time academy will be about half that. But most of the time you'll be staying in a dorm with that. But like with me, on the academy I went to, you showed up the first day, and it's pretty much like an orientation kind of thing. They introduce you to all of the instructors and what your schedule's gonna be like, what supplies you'll need, what you're gonna be dressing like. Like, even though it's not a paramilitary academy, they still made us wear uniforms. It wasn't really that. It was like just black pants with the cargo pants kind of thing, the pockets on the side down your thighs, boots, and they had us buy these blue polo shirts. You had to buy at least two, and they had the college name and something in Latin. I don't remember what it said. I don't know what it means. But you get it. But you have to buy a duty belt, which through this academy I went to, all we were needing was like a gun holster, handcuffs, flashlight, and keys. Like just a few things. You don't need a full belt. But if you choose to go through the academy where you're at or somewhere else, it might be different. They might supply it for you, or you might have to buy more stuff. That part, I don't know. One little thing is a little heads up. The police academy is not cheap. It was very expensive. But everyone in the academy in my class was just broke because of it. I got lucky because I was able to get financial aid through the college. So that helped, but it didn't cover everything. There was a lot of hidden fees, for one thing. Like the financial aid didn't cover ammo, which we had to buy about at least 2,000 rounds of ammo. And believe me, there's a lot. It's kind of funny because actually when I went to the store down where I lived to buy the ammo, the look on the guy's face was priceless. I had to catch it really fast because he freaked out. I walked in there, I'm like, I need 2,000 rounds of this. Which actually I have a Glock 22, which is a 40 caliber, about the only kind of pistol I can shoot. I have a Glock 42, which at least I can get the bullet to go the right direction. And I cannot shoot a 9 to save my life, literally. But I walk in there and he's like, "So what do you need? What can I help you with?" I'm like, "I need 2,000 rounds of 40." And I think I went with Blazer, the brand. It's not the cleanest, it makes the gun pretty dirty, but it's more affordable. But he asked me what it's for, and I said it's for school. That's when his eyes got really big. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's a police academy, they require it. He goes, okay. I'm like, I didn't think that one through. But the other things you had to buy were like the state statute book, which I was the only one who had the current one, but it wasn't that much different from the other ones. So I'm not sure what was so much different. It's kind of weird. I had the whole class every day asking me questions if it's the same in their book as it was in mine. I'm like, oh my gosh. I spent about half the academy looking that stuff up for them. Like, really? I mean, their books weren't that old. They were like only a few years older than mine. Like right now, mine's old. I'm getting letters from the place I got it was LexisNexis. That's where I got mine, and I live in Colorado. But everyone else got like theirs from like hand-me-downs from other officers, or the academy has some spares. Is always different. But you got like a book for procedures, and then a few other things. One book I got, it was the weirdest book I've ever got or even read. I didn't read the entire thing. But the book was called Verbal Judo. Yeah, there's the name. But the book actually will kind of help teach you how to talk to people. Like, like for one thing, if you come into a scene and say like domestic violence or whatever, like the guy or whoever is like is yelling at you, you need to make sure you stay calm. Because if you start getting mad at him right off the bat, you're not going to get anything done. You're just going to make the situation worse. So this book kind of teaches you how to talk to people and help kind of calm them down. And I actually tried it with other people, not like in a like crime scene kind of thing, just like out in public. It actually worked. I was like, wow, okay. It wasn't like so much like getting someone to calm down. It was mostly like asking for favors kind of thing. Not for money wise, like just other kind of favors. It's kind of hard to explain. Another thing is that if you're going to the academy, don't expect it to be like shooting and arresting people or practicing all that stuff every day, all day. No. Like for one thing, the academy I went through, probably about 95% of it was sitting through class all night for several hours looking at PowerPoint slides. It was very boring. I still have my thumb drive or flash drive of all the of all the PowerPoints, and it's just long. You had to use a big thumb drive to keep them all on there. And one thing, like mentioning a flash drive, when you go through the academy, like ask the guy in charge, which the one for me, he was actually a police, police chief, and I've known him since I was a kid. I've pretty much known him since I was growing up, so I knew him pretty well. I was surprised that he was the one in charge of the academy. He's a really nice guy, but the sad thing is that I don't know, was really retired or resigned from his position and moved to another state for a different position. So he's not around here anymore. I'm like, man, oh well. But talk to the guy in charge or woman in charge, whoever it is. See if the academy will supply laptops or computers for you, or if you need to bring your own. We got options. I mean, they supplied laptops for us, which pretty much everyone used. But if you have your own laptop, you're free to take it in. But like I said, just go in and ask first, and just make sure it doesn't hurt to ask. And you're not going to be going over every single thing through the academy. That would take forever. You'll basically be going over like the most important parts. Like you won't be going every single law, mostly just like the more important ones or more common ones. Like we learned, I never counted them, but we learned quite a bit, but there's still probably thousands we didn't go over. But in kind of glancing through the book, I mean, it's like laws I never even heard of. I don't know if that would ever happen. Real quick, like don't go through the class and look at it and says, I'll never come across that. Chances are you will. Like I didn't become a police officer, but I was a firefighter. I actually resigned. I just lost interest in it and health issues, like I said. I just left it, but it's actually a relief. So I'm actually okay with it. But going through there in the fire class or academy, what do you call it, because we actually did it in our station. We didn't go somewhere else, except for the testing. That day sucked. And also went through the EMS class. I didn't get certified on that one. That test was hard. People want me to go back to that one, but there's a couple things that are stopping me. One, that class is expensive, and they don't offer financial aid for that one. And two, I have a really hard time with nausea. Like if I'm nauseous, I go into full-blown panic attack, and same thing if someone near me becomes nauseous. I can handle anything else. I can handle blood, body parts, death, all that kind of stuff. I've handled that for years. As long as it's not like a friend, like a close friend or family member, I can handle it. But those two classes, I was looking through the books, I'm like, I'll never see that. That's where like the next day, there it was. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Am I being pranked? So chances are you're going to see quite a bit. So basically be prepared for anything and everything, I guess. And real quick, like the academy went through, like I said, is part-time. But the class, like the schedule for the class, most of the time, I think it was like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from like 6 till 10. Sometimes it was longer and sometimes it was shorter. Like there were sometimes we had classes that was like 20 minutes long. I'm like, okay. And other parts of through the year, I mean, we had some classes on Saturdays and Sundays. The driving part of the class only lasted 1 week. So actually we had a full week that time because the Sunday we had shooting, then Monday through Friday we had driving, and Saturday we had shooting again. So we had the whole full week, and every day was a full day. We were very tired then, but it was fun. And before I forget, my class, I think just about everyone had thoughts about quitting. We actually did have 4 people quit, but there were different reasons. Like the first guy, yeah, he walked in, saw how the class was, and left the next day. The next guy, or the second guy, left because he was already post-certified, but in another state. But his post-certificate transferred over, so we didn't have to finish the academy, which kind of sucked because he was like from Boston or something. So he had that accent, and it was funny when he talked, and the guy in charge of the academy always let him say beer. Like for me, I say beer, but I guess what he says is bear. I don't know, the way he talks is kind of hard. You have to like be there to actually see it, or just go talk to someone in Boston, I guess. Not making fun of this, it's just funny. I mean, you got to find humor in everything. So he left. The third guy left. Not to be rude, but he did not belong in there. He wasn't trying. He kept struggling. He was showing up late. One day he showed up very late. Our class had this rule, or the academy had the rule, that for every minute you're late, you had to do 10 of a certain exercise. The only plus side was that we got to pick what exercise we had to do. We chose push-ups. And sadly, I was responsible for 280 of them. That day sucked for me. I was so close to making the year without being late, and that one day I'm like, crap. But this guy showed up about 4.5 hours late. We all looked at each other, we're like, we are not doing that many push-ups. It is not worth it. So that would have been about 2,700 push-ups we would have to do. And this wasn't later in the year. This actually was still like near the beginning. I'm like, no. Thankfully, the instructors didn't make us do those. And they pulled him aside, chewed him out, and pretty much gave him a choice. Either being kicked off or leaving. I think they gave him a second chance, but I guess he didn't take it. He chose to quit. Like, for one thing, what they told us in the academy is that if you're working as a police officer and you're late, the other officer cannot leave until you show up. So if you're late, he could have been going home, but he has to wait on you to show up. So you're pretty much screwing him over. And it sounds like it's pretty common that if you're showing up late, like probably once or twice, you're probably going to get fired. Some departments might let slip a little longer than that, but what I've been hearing is that it's pretty common that you're going to get fired pretty quick. But basically, yeah, most of the time you're going through the academy, it's just a lot of reading and a lot of PowerPoints and a lot of PowerPoints. I didn't want to look at the program for a long time. I still don't really want to look at it. And one of the things we had to do, we had to read a book called The Innocent Man. It's based on a true story, and this is kind of sad. That was the first time I've actually read the entire book and did the actual report on it. I never did read the books in school and all that stuff, never did the reports. I'm not really stupid, I'm very lazy. So doing that was actually impressive for me. But with that book, if you believe in justice and fairness, all that, this book is going to piss you off if you ever read it. If you're not going through the academy, just go ahead and read it. It's based on a true story. It happened in Oklahoma. I forgot the guy's name. Right now, I gave the book to my mom. She wanted to read it, and she's wanting to give it back, but I don't want it back. I don't need it. I already read it. I just told her to give it to someone else. But as she was reading it, she starts texting me and going, "This is pissing me off." I'm like, "Well, told you." But I'm not going to go into detail about that. I want to spoil it for some people. So when you're not sitting in class, reading books, laws, PowerPoints, all that stuff, you'll be doing the hands-on parts. So it's like shooting, driving, arrest control, all that kind of stuff. So I'll start off with arrest control. This class is going to hurt for several reasons. You're going to get tackled, basically almost punched, slapped, kneed, all that kind of stuff. They give you pads most of the time, but you're still going to feel it. It's not that bad. I got body slammed by a guy about 3 times my size. He's a nice guy, but he body slammed me in one of the exercises and ended up cracking one of my ribs. For the next couple months, I couldn't raise my arm up very high, like only halfway up. And at the time, we were working potato harvest, and my dad, who's my boss, gave me the job of running seed So as the potatoes come off the belt, they get sorted on the machine, dropped from one belt to another one. That's hard to explain talking. It's easier with a picture or a video. But the C, which are smaller potatoes, we call it B size, they they fall through the machine onto another belt and go into another truck. And I'll get that truck and drive over to the cellar and unload it in that cellar so it's separate from the other ones. And if it works, we'll use it for next year for planting. Now the job isn't hard, but the trucks that I was driving were all manual. I found out that it is really hard to shift with your left hand, let alone with your right arm that has a cracked rib. So that made it so much fun. But I don't want to leave them in the academy for that kind of injury. It's like, I don't really care, I can ignore it. I told the chief of police that, and I didn't get a doctor's note like that. I was going to know, like, hey, I think this is cracked, all that stuff. Because if you go to the doctor for a cracked rib, there's nothing they can do for it. It's basically just like, take some painkillers and just tough it out until it heals. They can't put in a kind of like a brace, cast, and all like that, so you're pretty much screwed. But it's more like the injuries, like if you get shot or something like that, which I almost shot myself. I'll go on that later. But arrest control, they call it PPCT. And to this day, I still have no idea what that stands for. I went through the academy. It started August of 2015 and ended May of 2016. And right now it's November of 2018. Yeah, in case you're wondering, the post certificate lasts 3 years. I have people in my class come up to me and says, no, it doesn't. I'm like, I'm looking at it right now, and yes, it lasts 3 years. The other certificates can last maybe 2 years, 1 year. It just depends which one it is. But in arrest control or PPCT, you're learning how to like pretty much tackle people, like or detain them or arrest them. So there's a lot of handcuffing, which my whole class really liked me. At least they like handcuffing me because I'm very skinny. They gave me the nickname Bones. So here's a little side note. To all the law enforcement out in the area where I live, they know me as Bones. To all the firefighters, they know me as Pinky. And that's how I came up with the name Pinky's Random Videos. I don't know if I'll change it later or not. But because I had skinny wrists, all that kind of stuff, I was really easy to handcuff. And we'd go into these little competitions. And we had a lot of competitions in almost every class, like arrest control, shooting, driving, all that kind of stuff. We get these competitions, like see who can handcuff someone faster. I got pretty fast, but another guy beat me. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And one little thing is that like if you're like in the academy, you can control it better, but in the real world, it won't be as easy because they're not going to be all that compliant. I mean, you never know. But you're supposed to kind of just press the handcuffs on. You'll have the handcuffs set up so they're kind of already almost open, but they're still locked in one place on like one little spot. I can't think of the name of it. And actually I found a little trick on how to get that one position. You just put your handcuff in your palm of your hand and just close your hand. With me, I did that every time and it's set up perfectly every time. So it's kind of hard to explain while talking, but if you have handcuffs or you get yours, just put in your hand and just kind of like squeeze them. Not when they're double locked, that's when they don't move at all. But just put in your hand and close your hand, and it just, I mean, you close as tight as you can, but not too tight, that hurts. And your cuffs will be set up at a point where they're all ready. So all you have to do is just one little click and they're on. You're not having to fight it or all that kind of stuff. It just makes it a lot easier. Your academy might be a little different, but that's what we went with. And one thing, don't ever, ever leave your handcuffs open. Like ever. I'm not going to give any names like this, but one of our instructors knew a guy that his handcuffs are open, which is a little thing was swinging out, like swinging back and forth. And the guy they were trying to handcuff, like attacked him and grabbed it, and it swung over, and the piece got in the guy's ear. It got in the officer's ear, and pretty much like ripped his face open. So just do not leave your handcuffs open. Leave them closed. And another thing with handcuffing, don't just squeeze the handcuffs on someone's wrist. That hurts. The guy in my class did that to me. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Press them on, and you should be able to fit maybe like 1 or 2 fingers in between their arm and the cuffs. So there's enough like slack that they're not squeezing, but it still holds them. And you can double lock it, and they won't tighten anymore. They won't loosen, none of that. Now in the academy I went through, they did not give us like taser training. You won't get that until you get hired onto a department. But the one thing they do offer is the pepper spray, or OC, which is also known as Oleriosin capsicum. It's like a tongue twister. What it is basically, like for those who don't know, it's basically micropulverized chili peppers. I think it's like cayenne, but I think it's more than that, but I can't remember what it said. This part of the class was the worst. Out of everything I've done in my life, this is the worst thing I've ever done. So we showed a class one day, it was a Saturday, I think. And we go in the classroom, have a very short lesson. Then we go eat lunch, and then we meet at the local fire station. And yeah, we get sprayed. Now I've seen like videos on YouTube, there's always different things. Like they'll spray you, and you need to run through an obstacle course and tackle someone, arrest someone, stuff like that. It's always different. Like ours, all you do is you get sprayed, and you don't carry your real guns in the academy. The only time you do that is during the shooting class, the shooting part of the academy. So they give you these little plastic training guns. They don't do anything. They just have the shape and size of your real gun, and kind of gets you used to having it on your side. But when you get sprayed, just close your eyes. They spray you. They go one little sweep right across your eyes, and they tell you open. You open, and then it burns like hell. It wasn't quite as bad as I thought it would be, but it still sucks. I had a friend who's a police officer, and he told me that it's really hard to keep your eyes open. And I thought if I got sprayed, I wouldn't be able to open my eyes at all. But actually, it wasn't that bad. I could still open my eyes. The downside for me is that I'm nearsighted, and so I had to take my contacts out because it'll ruin your contacts, and those things are not cheap. And they would not let me wear my glasses, and I don't know why. Maybe they didn't know I was nearsighted. I don't know. So I was blind for multiple reasons. But I was able to open my eyes and I could see the colors of the people, and so you draw the gun or your training gun and order the guy to turn around, put your hands behind your back, all that kind of stuff, depending on how you choose. There's different ways. You'll learn about that later in the academies. But you have him turn around, get in the position, and you get the handcuffs on. And I got lucky. I got really lucky. I got my handcuffs on the first try, and I got the first cuff double locked right away, but I could not get the second one. I'm normally a nice guy. Like, I don't like hurting people, so I'm like, this might not be the profession for me. But the job's not really to purposely hurt people, but it can happen. It just depends on the situations. But I couldn't find the double lock. My eyes are burning. I can't breathe. And I said, screw it. I just grabbed this guy's arms. I'm 6'3". He was like a foot and a half shorter than me. I just grab his arms and I pick him up to eye level. I'm like, there. The instructor goes, there you go. I'm like, just get me over the water. Then say that. Don't say that to them. And then your classmate, kind of partner kind of thing, when you're done, they'll walk you over. There's a little process. There's a certain process when an officer gets sprayed with pepper spray, and I'm not sure how much into detail I can go into that. I mean, it's probably something everyone should know because it's safe, because actually an officer did get killed because of it. So let's go real quick. Like, if you're driving on the road or in town, wherever, and you see an officer on the side of the road, like clutching his eyes and like on the ground, don't just approach him right off the bat and surprise him. Like a long time ago, that happened with an officer. He showed up to help his other officer, and when he put his hand on his shoulder, the officer freaked out, turned around, shot him, killed him. So basically just stand a good distance away and kind of start shouting out, saying like, tell them your name, what you're doing, can you help them, that kind of stuff. And also a big thing is if you're sprayed, stay calm. If you see someone sprayed, tell them to stay calm because that's going to make it worse. It is like a big like psychological thing. If you can stay calm, it makes it a little easier. But my friend or my friend, classmate, partner, whatever you call him, he walks me over to the I can't think of the word you'd call it, but to get like decontaminated kind of a thing. So like ours, we had some academies are not going to get lucky. Sometimes you just have to face it till it wears off, and that would suck. But some you get lucky. So like with us, we got 4 buckets of water and a garden hose, a fan. And so what you do is that you stick your head in the bucket with the water, and you open your eyes and look around, and it actually feels really good when you open your eyes in the water. Like the burning almost went away instantly. And to make sure that you're opening your eyes, they put coins on the bottom of the buckets. And so when you come up, you have to tell them what you saw. With me, how blind I am, I can only tell them what color I saw. It was like silver or copper. Like my vision is horrible. Without like glasses or contacts, I can only see about 6 inches at the most in front of me. Past that, it's just a blur. It's awful. I would do that laser eye surgery thing, but that terrifies me. So chances of me doing that are slim. But you stick your head in, open your eyes, kind of move your eyes around, blink a lot, stuff like that. You stand up, tell them what you saw, then you stick your hand out, and another classmate or someone will actually put a lot of baby shampoo in your hand, and you just wash your face off, get it all off. Oh, real quick, when you get pepper spray, don't rub your eyes or face. Just don't touch anything. That's just going to scratch all that pepper, a lot of stuff in your skin. That's going to make it a lot worse. I'm just kind of briefly touching over this. I mean, in your academy, they'll go a little more of it. But when you get done, like, scrubbing your face with soap, then you go over to the second bucket, stick your head in the second one, and do that again. And you repeat that all the way to the last bucket. And with me, I did everything right. I put my head in the water, and I opened my eyes. I was blinking, I was looking around, felt really nice. Some of the coins I saw. One bucket, I don't think I had one because I couldn't find it. But I did everything right. After I got done with the 4th bucket, another thing is like once you take your head out, do not put it right back in because all that oil and all that stuff from the pepper spray will be on the surface. And if you stick your head back in, it's going to go right back on your skin. So once you take your head out, stay out of the bucket, move to the next one. But I got done with the 4th bucket and I did everything right. But when I got out, it just started burning again right away. Like every time I got out, it'll start burning all over again. I'm like, what the heck? So I had to go to the hose and keep washing my face off, and eyes out, and that kind of stuff. And that took a while. Then I went over to this fan. I had a towel, which again, you don't rub it, you kind of just pat your face down. I did that, and then I almost threw up, but not because like the burning like that. If you get sprayed and you like inhale through your nose, it irritates your sinuses and what do they call them? Mucous membranes. Can't remember what it's called. So if you do that, you're gonna have like a lot of snot coming out of your nose. It's disgusting. It goes in your throat, and I am just like swallowing too much, and I made me gag pretty bad, but nothing came up. That's probably the first in my life I didn't care if I was gonna throw up. I just didn't want to embarrass myself because there was a lot of people there, and I don't really cuss in public. Like on my videos I record, yeah, I will cuss, but it doesn't make in the video. And that day I wanted to cuss so bad, but there were kids there and family. My family wasn't there. I didn't tell them. I was like, I don't want you to see that. But it's like kids and friends, family members of other people all there, so I didn't want to set a bad example. But yeah, I didn't want to embarrass myself throwing up in front of everyone. And then I went over and sat in front of the fan, which like for firefighting, it's like a ventilation fan, so it's a pretty good size, blows quite a bit of air. But standing in front of it made it worse. It made it really hard to breathe. It might have been me, because with me, I don't know how it is with other people. I never asked. But if I have any kind of like a breeze or anything like that in my face, I almost can't breathe at all. I've been like that since I was a kid. I don't know why that is. So I had to avoid that. And after about 10 minutes or so, it actually wore off. And there's actually different levels of like OC. And we got like a 50,000, 500,000, 1,000,000, 2,000,000 were those were our options. The 50,000 had something else in it. I forgot what it was called, but I didn't do that one. The bottles were pretty much blank. Probably to screw with us. They like to mess with you a lot. But I didn't know which one. I was scared. I almost didn't want to do it. That's actually the first time. Well, no, actually the second time I thought about quitting. The first time was like near the beginning of the year because it was so boring. Learning about like the judicial process and criminal process. I actually fell asleep in that class. But yeah, when I got pepper sprayed, I almost quit then. Like one thing to say, if you start running off, losing control, or throw your gun down, you're done. You might be able to stay in the academy, but if you want to get certified in that, you have to go through another academy because they're not going to stop the academy just for you to get caught up. So don't fall behind either. Like pretty much like every class, if you fall behind in or you like don't get certified, you're gonna go through. You have to find another academy somewhere else in the state and try and get certified through there. And you're only gonna get so many chances because if you like, say like a written test in the class after each class. So yeah, do the math. That's a lot of tests. If you failed it like 2 or 3 times, you're done. Something I forgot to mention is that if you choose to leave, no one is going to make fun of you. They'd rather see you leave because you probably couldn't handle it or whatever reason, rather than see you go out and into the field and freak out and end up getting someone killed or get yourself killed. So if you like choose to leave, do not be embarrassed. Like with me, like I went through the academy, got certified, everything like that, graduated, but because of my health, I never became a police officer. Now that bums me out quite a bit, but I'm trying to stay positive, realizing that I survived the academy. So there's always a plus and there's always a good side and bad side to everything. I'll just try and focus on the good side. So don't let it get to you if you end up having to leave. But yeah, after about the kind I picked when they're like setting out the bottles or the cans of the pepper spray or OC, what do you want to call it? Um, yeah, the labels were blank, so I couldn't tell which one I was picking, and almost didn't want to do it. But I ran into this, okay, well, that one, because the instructor was like, well, if you don't pick, I'm going to. I'm like, well, fine, well, that one. And it turned out to be the 500,000. And what people say is that the intensity is about the same with all of them, but like the stronger it is, like the longer it lasts. Like the people who want to show off and do the 2,000,000 one, they were still burning after we left. Mine stopped burning like the worst of it about 10 to 15 minutes after I got sprayed. So it wasn't that long. But yeah, I survived that day and got certified with OC. And about the same time, I got certified with arrest control, which I almost failed that one, but thankfully I got it the second time. Like, whew. Okay, because I would have gone to the other side of the state. I live in the southern part of Colorado, and I would have gone to like the north side of Colorado. I'm like, no, not doing that. In my academy, there were breaks between like the hands-on part. So like after we got done with arrest control, all that stuff, then we went to like learning the laws, which that took like I think we spent about 3 weeks or so on it. I don't remember. There's like some small classes like chasing suspects or stuff like that. That was like only half a day. We didn't really take that class seriously. One other thing is that if you're going to the academy, make sure you're already in shape. I'm not in the best shape, but I survived at some point at least. But in our academy, they made us. Well, they didn't make us. Well, no, they did make us. Yeah, they made us pretty much exercise every day, either at the academy itself, because there's like a little makeshift gym there, or you can go and like work out at a local gym or something like that. But you have to get a form from the instructors, whatever. And so you'd like write down like the date and time, what exercise you did, how many, all that kind of stuff, and then have someone there that witnessed it sign it. I had the guy at the front desk sign mine. He had no idea, like, what am I signing? I'm like, just saying that I was here. I did work out. I mean, I got stronger, faster, and stuff, but yeah, I lost it pretty quick. So about like the first half of it is like mostly like the PowerPoint kind of stuff mostly, but then when you get into the second half to be more hands-on. So with that, like now we started going to this shooting part of the academy, which that actually went on for several months, or a few months at least. But most of it was just the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. Now this is where I think the instructors got a little carried away, like they just wanted to let it out. Like I said, it's through a college, so they couldn't do a paramilitary setting. But out in the gun range, I guess since it was kind of away from the academy, they kind of took off. They had days where it was paramilitary. I mean, they're almost getting our faces yelling and stuff, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? That first day scared the crap out of me for some reason. And it said there's another instructor coming by that's worse. And it actually freaked me out for like a whole week. I'm like, oh crap, I don't want to deal with this. I'm scared. And I actually knew the guy. He's a state trooper. And I know him. He's actually a really good guy. I did a ride along with him back in 2007. And he's a really nice guy. And I almost kind of chewed him out one day because we were doing the ride along and we stopped to eat at a Subway with another trooper, stuff like that. And right after we got done, it's actually the same time I was in the fire department because I joined in 2007. And so I had my pager with me, and all of us get a call about a one car rollover down the highway. And I just chose to stick with him that we can see what he does, because I already knew what the fire department does. And we get out there and take care of it. It turned to be like a teenager that chose to go drinking and driving and crash his car. So yeah, he got in trouble. He even lied to all of us because he said he didn't drink anything at all and all stuff. So yeah, guess what? We did the breathalyzer, and the number went up and up and up. I don't know where the number was, but it was pretty high, way above the legal limit. But later we had to go to the hospital so we could do the blood work and collect the results from that kind of stuff. And later he like starts chewing himself out, saying that if we didn't stop, he probably could have caught the guy before he wrecked. I probably should have said something, but I chose not to. But he's one of the officers out there that does everything by the book. He respects people. He does the job right. He does everything by the book. And if you've been watching the news, yeah, there's been like cops being like accused of harassment and excessive force, all that kind of stuff. And this is what actually pisses me off. Actually, one thing I learned in the academy, and also pisses me off ever since, is that you'll see videos on YouTube or the news of like an officer shooting an unarmed person, all that kind of stuff. Well, here's the thing. It only shows the part of the officer shooting the other person. My question is, where is the rest of the video? Where's the beginning of it that led to that point? Because what they show makes the officer look bad. But if they show the entire video, it'll show that the guy actually had another weapon and he had tossing it or like shooting after shooting at the officer or just getting rid of it. And there's all different kind of things. There's also all point of view. Now, there are officers out there that need to be stopped because they abuse the power and they have no business being in law enforcement. Now, they do exist and they do need to be stopped. But there are a lot of officers out there that are respectful, do the job right, and don't abuse the power and like that. So don't get fooled by the news. It actually pisses me off what they do on there. Same on YouTube. But I want to tell that one trooper that because he does that job, like does a job like that, I have a huge amount of respect for him. And plus, you can't catch all of them. You can put so many officers out there, but you still cannot catch every single person. So don't beat yourself up about that. Just do the best you can, and I guarantee a lot of people are going to be proud of you and respect you. If someone like comes up to you and starts chewing you out saying that there's a guy out here that causes those kind of problems, whatever, and saying, where were you? What were you doing that stuff? Just ignore it. Chances are they had no idea what you're going to go through or what you do go through. Just let it go. Don't let it get to you. But the day that trooper showed up for the academy, no, actually it wasn't that bad. Like, didn't really see much of a difference. I mean, you could see the military side of him because he actually is a retired. Oh, I think he went to the army. I forgot what branch it was. There's a lot of people through the academy, instructors and classmates that were ex-military, and I lost track. There's Army, Navy, Marines, all that kind of stuff. I lost track who was in what. No offense, I just lost track. But yeah, there's a lot of rules you have to follow, like make sure your gun's pointing down range. Always treat a firearm as if it's always loaded, or as if it's loaded. Okay, these are not in order. I actually went brain dead. But yeah, always treat a gun as if it's loaded. Never point it at something you're not willing to shoot. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And always be aware of the target and beyond it, because the bullets can go right through it and hit something else. So just follow those 4 main rules. I know it's not word for word, not in order, but they're there. And they're going to push you quite a bit. I mean, first off, there's going to see where you're at and stuff. And this part threw me off because I'm not an expert. I'm not a gun enthusiast. I'm not against the Second Amendment. I'm for it. I'm just not an expert on it. Like, I only have 2 guns right now, but I don't really go shooting that much. But somehow I impressed every single person there the way I shoot. Like, I was pretty much almost a top shooter in my entire class, which I don't know how the hell that happened. And I almost got the award at the end of the year for it, but they were wanting someone who actually kind of started out like low and then got good. I pretty much, apparently I was good and just got better. So I don't know. But yeah, there's few people in my class that struggle a little bit, and I'm not making fun of them, but this day scared the crap out of me because one of my classmates kind of lost control of the gun when she was shooting, and she had the form pretty much right. Well, I didn't see the entire thing; it was out of the corner of my eye. Because it was only her shooting at once. Because like sometimes we'd be shooting all at once. Sometimes it would be one person shoots, the next one, the next one, the next one. So this one, it was just her shooting, and we were watching her, and she gets in stance, like and stuff, and starts shooting. But somehow she loses her grip and her stance, and goes from like the form you're supposed to shoot with to like a gangster form. Like she's like leaning back, her arm extended, is at an angle. I'm like, the reason it scared me, I mean, she was shooting in the right direction still, but the way she lost control of it, I thought we were in big trouble. But the instructors behind me, I haven't seen a guy laugh that hard in a long time. He was laughing so hard he was crying. I'm sitting here, my heart was like pounding like crazy. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Are we gonna get yelled at? But no, thankfully we did not. But we did make fun of her for a pretty long time after that. And same thing, you have like competitions where you get in like a line and say you can shoot the furthest. So like say you start like 20 feet, and you hit a metal target, you shoot it, you move to the back of the line, and you go up to it, you actually move back. So further and further you get, you just keep shooting, you hit it, move further, hit it, move further. If you miss, you're out. And the reason why I say you want to buy at least 20 rounds of ammo is that sometimes you might struggle with shooting, which actually don't be embarrassed because actually several people in my class struggled with it. And so the instructors had to like pull them to the side and kind of like help them out a little bit so they'll use more ammo that way. The other way you use more ammo is if you're winning a lot of competitions, which ended up with me. I didn't win them all, but I won quite a bit. I won competition. I almost beat everyone, including the instructors. Actually, a couple of them were a little too afraid to go against me. I'm like, haha, chickens. Like one competition, the instructor said that if I beat him, actually his words were, if the hose dragger beats me, all of you can kick my butt. Well, I couldn't stop laughing because he called me a hose dragger. The funny part was, I beat him. I got a little carried away because after I beat him, I started jumping up and down. That was embarrassing. Yeah, they were laughing at me for that. But he didn't stick to his word. He walked off, looks at me, and goes, "Pick up the targets." I'm like, "Whatever, you lost." And then the other one is like where you start. There's two of you, and you're gonna start. They kind of made it harder before you can start like facing the target and stuff. But as you go on, they make it harder. And what you do, you start out and you face away from the targets, and there's two of you, and there's 6 targets, 3 for each of you. And when they like blow the whistle, you know, threat, whatever, you turn around and draw your gun, and then you shoot to the body, to the body, to the body. Drop the magazine, load the next one in, one to the head, one to the head, one to the head. Drop that magazine, load the next one, and then you holster. Well, it was down to 2 of us. It was me and that other instructor. That's that trooper. So we face away from the targets. Our hands are up. They yell threat, and I swear it's funny because we started shooting and we were shooting exact same time, just bam, 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 bam. The whole class was like, "Oh, here we go, yeah!" I'm like, okay. And it took so many times. I actually lost track. It was like more like 3 or 4 times before I lost because I got carried away. I missed once. I'm like, darn it! But I almost beat him. It took a while, but hey. So maybe a little scary at first, but it actually gets fun. Just like I said, be careful. Now, one incident where I almost shot myself is actually you're shooting almost at point blank. Well, actually not point blank. Actually shooting from the hip, like a cowboy thing. So pretty much like you're standing like a foot in front of the target, and with a threat, you put your hand out, kind of push the target away, which it's in the ground, so you're pushing yourself back. Then you draw your gun and go right from the hip, and keep shooting, and then you back up, you extend your arm out, and all that stuff. Well, the first time I did that, I almost shot myself in the side. I was way more careful after that. The academy I went to, we didn't have an indoor shooting range. We had to shoot outside. So there were days we had to shoot when it was windy, it was cold. There was even one day when we were shooting and there was snow on the ground. And some of the positions you'd shoot in would require you to lay down on the ground, so there'd be times you would lay on the snow. So again, depending on what academy you go to, you could be shooting inside, you could be shooting outside, just prepare for that. And part of the academy where we were shooting, we had to shoot on Saturday, or we had to shoot on Sunday and on Saturday, but then the Monday through Friday was the driving part of the class. This was the part of the academy where I was late. Still drives me nuts to this day. We were about halfway through the week, like first day or two, we spent in the classroom going over how to drive, what to look for, all that kind of stuff, what kind of maneuvers we'll be doing. But the first day when we were starting driving, that's the day I was late. I was laying at home, I was still sleeping, and I woke up early that day, and I was like, I'm not getting up yet. And I went back to sleep. And the next thing I know, I'm getting a call from my classmates. I look at my clock, and I was supposed to be there at 8, and it was like 7:58. That was bad. I don't think I've ever gotten ready that fast and driven over there that fast ever. I think I might have broke a couple of records. I also broke a couple of laws. But when I got there, I was 28 minutes late. So therefore we had to do 280 push-ups. That sucked. And to make it worse, my class made me lead it, which I don't know why they did that. There are other people that were late and they didn't lead it. There was all that kind of stuff. I'm like, why you make me do all this? But whatever. But when I got there, we were getting ready to go out and get the cars and then go out to the. Well, we didn't have a track. We actually had to go by the local high school and drive in the parking lots and the road next to it. The kind of area it was at, there's not a lot of traffic, so we didn't have to worry about that too much. And the instructors blocked off the road, so people wouldn't be driving down there so much. And if there was someone that went through the cones and stuff, we'd just go on the radio and say, hey, someone came through and stuff, and we'll just stop and wait for them to get through, and then we'll continue on. Most of the things you learn in driving are easy, but there are a couple that are a little more difficult. One of the maneuvers we had to do was like how to change lanes really fast, like dodging pedestrians, other cars, or animals. And so I'll try and describe this as best I can. So you start on one end of the road, and then you speed up to about 45 miles an hour, and then they have little things of cones set up. And when you approach cones, when you first hit the first cones, you press on the brakes. You don't slam on them, but you press on them pretty hard, pretty quick. It's kind of hard to explain. And slow down as much as you can. And when you get to a certain point, it's a short distance. Like the amount of time you have to slow down is like maybe not even 20 feet. It's very short. And then there'll be two options. You can either go left or right, and the instructor will tell you which way to go. And it's amazing that the instructor will say like right and you go left, or you say left and you go right. So about half my class wrote an L on their left hand and an R on the right hand. I didn't do that. And that day a lot of us hit cones. We hit a lot of cones that day. Our academy, if you hit the cones, well, we started hitting so many cones that the instructors were getting annoyed with it, that he started making us do push-ups or some kind of exercise every time we hit some. I've heard some other academies, I think like our state patrol, if you hit a cone or knock it over, you have to go out there and bow to it. And I think if you crash a car over at state patrol, like during lunch or dinner, whatever you call it, they actually call it chow. I hate using that word, so yeah. If you crash a car, you just stand up when you're eating and sing in front of everyone. I think the common one they sing is I'm a little teapot. So thankfully my academy, like the academy I went to, wasn't that creative. So like it depends which academy you go to. They might make you do that. I don't know what they'll do. You'll just have to wait and find out. But what made it worse is that after a while, we learned something that when you are turning that fast and sharp, do not hit the brakes. If you hit the brakes while you're doing that, you will lose control. A few of us lost control. I lost control, but I gained control again. I almost crashed another guy's truck, which I'm so glad he moved it because that was a brand new truck. However, two other guys in my academy lost control and ended up crashing. We started out with 4 cars and we ended with 2. Another weird part is that the first day we started driving, they gave 4 of us keys to the cars. And we had to make sure we never lost those keys, because that would really screw things up. And guess who got one of the keys? Yep, me. I don't know why or how. Probably teach me a lesson. I'm like, very funny. So yeah, I was in charge of one of the cars, so I had to make sure I was there early. I had to go over to the academy, get the car, and make sure it was gassed up, all that kind of stuff, and get it over to where we were driving. Thankfully, the car I was in charge of was not one that was totaled. It was a crappy car, but it wasn't totaled. Like the last day we were driving at night, and I think it was the last day. But we had to take the cars back to the academy or to the shop. I don't know I can't remember where we took them when we were done. But I was driving it at night, and the headlights were just so messed up that I just pointed down. I couldn't even see in front of me. I'm like, this is smart. But yeah, the other two guys, one lost control and hit a curb broadside, damaged both tires on the one side of the car. He actually went airborne for a little bit, scared the crap out of all of us. The guy, I think he was a passenger, ended up going to the hospital for a little bit. He wasn't severely hurt, but to make sure he's okay. He was actually back before the class was over. The second guy that crashed, he lost control and hit a street light, totaled the car, and totaled the street light. Yeah, the people that came to fix it made fun of us for that day. Like, sorry. The guy that crashed into the street light, he didn't go to the hospital. He chose not to, but he was upset with himself. And it made it kind of worse that the car he was driving the whole week, it just kept breaking down, alternator, whatever was going out, battery kept going dead, all kind of stuff. We had to keep like stopping it and like sending it in to get it fixed and then bring it back, and it worked for a little bit, then stop and just send it back again. And so the other day it was done. And each time we crashed a car, we had to call it in. And so police showed up, ambulance showed up, and the police chief showed up. And it's funny, and to make it even worse, is that both wrecks happened about 15 minutes apart from each other. Chief of police came up to us as, your class is going to be well remembered after this. And yeah, we are. I know some people who went to the academy after I did, and I asked them if my class was mentioned. They're like, yep. I'm like, yep. I knew that was going to happen. Kept his word. We had to change the obstacle to make it a little easier. We actually made it a little too easy. But at least we got it done, but it wasn't too bad. And at first it seems scary, and like you're driving fast and like you're squealing tires, all that kind of stuff, swerving around corners. It seems scary at first, but once you get the hang of it, you don't want to stop. It's like, I want to go again. So don't be worried about that. Just make sure you're being careful. They'll start you out slow and then work your way up. Same with shooting, driving, all that stuff. They start you out slow, then work your way up until you're better. So like with all classes, yeah, there's going to be homework. So expect that. But it's not really that bad. And one little thing is that when you're learning laws, or like if you get on the street or in the field, don't be a hypocrite. Or at least don't be too much of a hypocrite. And what I mean by that is like saying, if you drive 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, don't give someone a ticket for that. I mean, that's something that's pretty common, is that if you're going like 5 over, they'll probably leave you alone. If you go 10 over, you'll get pulled over, and depending on how it goes, you'll be a ticket or warning. But if you're going 15 and over, you're screwed. But not everyone's like that. There's a state trooper down here where I live that he was well known to be a little of a jerk to everyone, and he would give out like $100 speeding tickets for going like 1 mile over the speed limit. And one day I finally got pulled over by him, but he must have changed because he let the speeding part go and just got me with a seatbelt ticket. And I'm like, yeah, but hey, just about everyone's got tickets, so I don't really care. I'm not really embarrassed. Although I was trying to keep it secret from people, but then some guys that work for us drove by and saw me. I'm like, ah, crap. So yeah, then people found out. My brother calls me later, says, make sure you're wearing a seatbelt and not speeding. State Patrol's going crazy. I'm like, you don't say. But I got the ticket deferred, all that kind of stuff. I paid the fine, whatever, so I got it dealt with. And there are some laws you can choose whether to enforce or not. And there are some that you have no choice so you have to enforce them. Off the top of my head, I don't know all of them, but like domestic violence, you have to enforce. Like speeding and stuff like that, you can be a little lenient with that, but like with like violence and stuff like that, you have to do what you have to do. And they'll let you know like which ones are which and stuff, so you'll learn more about that later. It's not a huge deal. You catch on fairly quickly. So kind of a quick discussion about how the police academy works. That's just about it. I mean, it would take a while to go in every single detail about it. I'm just gonna give you a few little heads up. Like for one, like I've said before, if you go through an academy where it's a paramilitary type, when your instructor walks in, stand up. I mean, get ready to stand up when they walk in, get ready to salute and march, all that kind of stuff, because they will chew you out for that. But like my academy, we weren't like that, so we didn't have to deal with that. But so it depends what kind of academy you go through. They should be able to like give you like the rules and how things are done there before you start your first day, so there might be a heads up. Not a guarantee, but what I've heard, they give you a little heads up before you start. One other thing is that when we first started the academy, they gave us a test. I'm like, wow, that was fast. And it's not really like a pass or fail thing. Is that they gave us a test the first day, and pretty much everyone failed that one. But then at the end of the year, they gave you pretty much the same test. I think it's actually the exact same test, but could be different, so don't rely on it too much. But at the end of the year, they give you the test again, and then it's like, I think for us it was our final. But a lot of us, I think we all just passed it, almost got 100 on all of them, I think. I got 100, I think. It kind of shows you like where you started at and where you ended at, so it's kind of fun to look at that. So real quick, like I said, I cannot go into too much detail about this. But your last test will be your post-test. Actually, real quick, there's kind of like a 2 post-test, at least in the academy I went to. The first one was the shooting part. I still have my target from when I got certified on that. I felt bad that day because they gave us options to go ahead and take the test and to get it out of the way, or not take it and just practice. I have really bad test anxiety, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I was too scared to take the test. I thought I was going to fail. So I wanted to see what it was like before I actually did it, which that's not very common. And I actually practiced it a couple times, and every time I took it, I passed it. It ended up being a lot easier than I thought. It's just that with my anxiety, I had a hard time building up the courage to do it. And after we got done shooting, the instructors were like, okay, the ones who have the balls to take the test and pass it, come over here. Then they go over there and talk to them. The ones who have the balls to take it but did not pass it, come over here. I'm like, this is weird. And then they started going, the ones who did not have the balls to take it but passed it, come over here. And that was one of me. So me and a few other people walked over there. And he like starts talking to us and saying that we need to have like more confidence in ourselves and stuff. And he goes around and goes, I know you guys can shoot. And he looks at me and points at me and goes, I know you can shoot. I'm like, so yeah, I mean, don't lose confidence in yourself. Stay calm and you'll be fine on that. And yeah, of course, they said who didn't have the balls to take it and did not pass it. They also called him out too, in case you're wondering. But yeah, they called all 4 groups up there. So, But the actual post-test that you take at the end of the year, you're going to go in and they're going to have you sign a form stating that you're going to take this test, and then when you're done, you're not allowed to discuss it after So like I said, I can't go into too much detail about it. This test was making me really, really nervous. Because I think you have to like a 70 or 75 and above to pass. I can't remember the actual great idea to have. But the whole night before, I was panicking so much. I was going through every note I had, all these study guides, everything. I was so nervous that I didn't sleep at all that night. I was nauseous, I was shaking. And even when I got to the classroom, I was still nauseous and shaking. I was like, oh my gosh. And I was still like reading through notes and stuff. Chief of police was like, if you don't know by now, you're not going to get it now. I'm like, I'm just making sure. So we sat down and took the test. I can't say how many questions are. For one thing, I don't remember how many questions there were. Your instructors and the chief of police cannot be in there when you take it, so they bring another guy in from the state to give the test to you. And he's a nice guy. I can't remember his name. So if you're listening, I'm sorry. Oh, real quick, like with all your instructors, you got to make sure you call them like sergeant, captain, or lieutenant, chief, whatever. Just like call them names, unless they're okay with you calling them by their names. They'll let you know and stuff. But at the beginning of the year, they'd be like, make sure you call them like sergeant, captain, corporal, whatever. Yeah, the guy came in and gave us a test, and you get a certain amount of time to do it. I think it's like 2 hours. I can't remember how many hours you get, which is more than enough time, unless I changed it. But they told us about these like people who've taken them in the past, and like they took the entire time, and at the last minute, or almost the last second, that's when they hit submit or turn it in, whatever kind you get, and they actually end up passing. So like one thing like with tests, like actually with all tests, I mean just take your time, like not too much time, but like take your time, and don't second guess yourself. If you've been doing good through the whole year, passing grades, all that kind of stuff, chances are you'll be fine. When I took it, I was answering each question. I had some issues with it because the way we were taking it. I ended up second guessing myself a couple times, but I was trying not to do it too much. When I got done answering every question, I sat there and just like I couldn't build up the courage to submit it. And finally, I was like, let's screw it. And that day we were allowed to like wear casual clothes, so we were in a uniform. So I was wearing like jeans, shirt, coat, and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of common with like big tests like that. You have to empty out your pockets, stuff like that. So that's actually fairly common with a lot of tests. But when I finally built up the courage to hit submit or to submit it, I grabbed my coat and I hit submit and I just covered my face and covered the screen. I didn't want to look at it. I don't think I looked at it for like 20 minutes. I was like, I'm too scared to look. When I finally built up the courage to look at it, I saw that I passed. I got so excited, I almost threw up right there. I was like, yes! Uh-oh. And when I got done, there's still a lot of other people still taking it. Some people got done before me. And so I was kind of in the middle. So when we got done, we walked outside, just stood outside, and huge sigh of relief. And we were like congratulating everyone about passing it and that kind of stuff. One sad thing was that one guy in my class did not pass it, which was surprising because he was doing really well. We're like, how'd that happen? But I guess what he did is second guess himself way too much. Like he knew it, but he just second guessed himself. That's why he shouldn't. Just go with your first answer. But he retook it and passed it. We knew he would. We knew that he would pass it no problem. So, and he did. And last time I saw him, I think he was even like a captain or something like that too. I mean, he got promoted, but he's like an area that was kind of smaller. I don't know. I almost took a job out there too, but I was like, I don't want to drive that far. That's like a hour and a half drive just to get there. I'm like, well, that's not worth it for me. I wanted to stay somewhere local. But with that post test, I mean, just try not to stress over it. Just make sure you're studying through the year. Stay calm and stuff like that. Don't second guess yourself. I'm not going to discuss like what was on the test, all that kind of stuff. So just like I said, just study through the year. Make sure you're doing well, that kind of stuff, and you should be fine. But yeah, then after we got done with all the tests and all that kind of stuff, then yeah, the graduation day came. Actually, the best day of it so far, well, one of the best days, was when we got to turn in those plastic training guns. Man, I wanted to turn that in the first day. I'm like, I hate this thing. Looks stupid, feels stupid. Ugh. Yeah, like turning that in felt great, and then the graduation felt great. Sadly, I didn't get any awards. I almost got one, but nope, someone else got it instead. I'm like, you know what? Who cares? And the academy will actually the academy I went to, they handed us our certificates right there, except for our post certificate. On the graduation, like you'll pick someone in your class to give a speech, that kind of stuff. You can have like a little video going on the screen behind you, that kind of stuff, like just a graduation kind of thing. Then when they call your name up, you walk up and then shake everyone's hands, and then they hand you your certificate of. Sorry, I'm looking at it so I can read it. So I had to turn around. So I hope you can hear me. But yeah, they'll hand you your certificate of basic law enforcement training and your post certificate. And like I said, I didn't become a police officer. I still have the option, but because of my health, I'm just going to turn it down. I have other things I planned in mind, so I'm just trying to stay positive. But I did hang up a lot of my certificates. Some are all academy, some are from other things. I got my high school diploma, my post certificate, my certificate for completing the academy, firearms certificate, my driving certificate, my crash investigation certificate, my OC certificate, my arrest control certificate or PPCT, and then I have another certificate for outdoor training solutions. They're out here where I live, and that's how I got my concealed carry permit. And then I got a little thing from a guy from the fire department. It's just a little certification of recognition. It was not like a huge importance, but it's kind of meaningful. I do have a couple other certificates, but one I lost, and the other ones I don't care about. So they weren't that important. Like the one I lost was actually completing the class to run an aerial or a ladder fire truck. I don't know where that one went. It's around here somewhere. But like the other one, like for how to handle dogs, stuff like that one I didn't care about, so I think I threw that one away. So pretty much like, yeah, the one I went through was called the part-time academy, so I had more time to kind of study, prepare, stuff like that. It took longer, but it helped. If you go through a full-time academy, then you pretty much have to like cram everything all at once. You have to learn faster. You have less time to study, all that kind of stuff. But the academy will be a lot shorter. So just depending where you live or where you want to go, then there's options. This is just a brief description of what you'll go through the academy, just to help give you an idea and help to be a little more prepared. It's just something to help you kind of like be more prepared, like I said. But if you have any questions or comments, just put it down in the comments section. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you next time.